So it's time to make some bread. We need a bowl, 1 pack of instant yeast. We need a measuring cup, flour, the main ingredient, of course, sugar. So this is all we need to start our bread. So I'm going to get 1 cup of warm water in here. We don't want hot. Not lukewarm. Everyone always says lukewarm. That's not correct. It needs to be just a titch above lukewarm. Exactly 1 cup of water. My yeast, I'm gonna open my package up. Okay, and then I'm gonna pour my water in. And then I'm going to take a little bit of sugar. So sugar feeds the yeast, salt stops it. So you can put as little or as much as you want. I'm just going to do, I think, 2 teaspoons of sugar. I think this particular recipe might even call for more than that, but I'm just going to do 2 teaspoons. And then once that's in here, let me just show you what that looks like. And I'm just going to give this a few minutes. I'm going to give it a stir so it all dissolves. You want to make sure that everything is nicely dissolved. There's no weird lumps or clumps. Okay, this is technically called a slurry. Usually you could use like active yeast, like it's kind of like a, I don't know, it's just raw. You can buy it at the bakery. It's sort of like an over-the-counter product. So we're gonna let that sit for a few minutes. I can feel my bowl is a little bit warm and that's perfect. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some flour in here. Okay, so you can actually see the yeast, how it's becoming activated. Do you see that? How it's making all these little, it's coming up? That means it's doing its job. So you know that your yeast is good if this is what it does and it starts to do that. So I'm gonna let this sit for another minute or so, let it do its thing, and then I'm gonna start adding my other ingredients, which is going to be oil or melted butter, a little bit of salt, and then flour. So this is 2 cups of flour right here, but I go right to the top, and then I might even add a bit more depending on how moist this is. So I'm gonna go ahead. Do you see that? That is 1 happy little slurry of yeast. So you wanna add fat. Okay, so you're gonna add oil or butter. I'm just doing 2 tablespoons of butter. Sorry, oil. I have butter, I'm just too lazy to melt it. Then I'm gonna throw in a bit of salt. You should probably measure this. I've done this enough times to kind of know. Okay, give this a little stir. And then we're gonna add the flour. And all I'm going to do is just slowly mix it by hand. I don't use a spoon. I'm old school. I'm a baker in my past life, like a professional baker. So everything is done by hand. So I like that. I like sort of artisan. I like that you use, you know, your own energy to put into your food, love, sometimes even a little frustration, I guess. So it starts to come together like this, okay? So it's feeling a little sticky, but that doesn't mean I need to add flour just yet. I have to just bring it together. Okay, so this is about what it's going to look like. I don't think it needs any more flour because it doesn't feel as sticky. So what I will, sorry, you can't even really see that. So that's what it looks like right now. What I'm gonna do is just roll out the rest of that right there. And I'm gonna put you guys now on time lapse because I'm gonna have to knead this for a few minutes. so the dough is finished. This is what it looks like. It's nice and smooth, no weird rough spots, and the bottom is just closed in. So you can see at the end of the video, you just kind of do that by rolling it to make it tight underneath. And then this way, the top is nice. Doesn't matter, you don't have to have the top nice. You can have it a little bit wrinkly, but ideally you shouldn't have any rough edges or anything like that. It just means you have to knead it a little bit longer. I put it back in the exact same bowl. I drop it in and cover it and let that sit for, I don't know, maybe about an hour. Let it rise. All right, friends, here is your bread. Look at that nice little air bubble right there. So you know it's been rising. This has been rising for about an hour, and it was probably ready about 15 minutes ago. I have one of these. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to let this rise over and over and over again, or one time for a long time. 1 hour is sufficient. If you leave it, what happens is it'll rise, and then it'll collapse on its own, or the yeast just dies and it'll get kind of crusty on top. My cake pan, I'm really sorry about all the shadows. It's a really overcast day, so it's hard to get good lighting in here. So this is just one of those Gotham steel, it's nonstick. So I do not grease and flour my pan at all. That's just an extra step I'm not interested in doing, and more mess. So easy peasy for me, keep it minimal. So I have my bread pan. Let me make sure I've got everything in the shot here. Okay, so I've got my bread pan and I've got my dough. So I'm just gonna punch it. That's the best part. It just collapses like that. I don't need to do anything else to it. I don't need to add any more flour. It's fine. So I'm just gonna straighten this out like so. You can use a rolling pin. I just use the palm of my hand to smush it and get it into sort of a rectangular-like shape. It's normal when you're stretching for it to kind of go back. That's what bread dough does. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which way you do it. I mean, if you were in pastry school, they'd give you crap for making your bread look like this, but that's not where we're at. So we're gonna just take this and we're gonna roll it really tight, okay? Now, I guess I should say that this should be a really even, you know what, I'll just show you this. I'll just show you. So, ideally, this is what it'll look like. And using a ruler will help control the part that's in the middle and keep the rest of your bread pretty much even all throughout, so you're not getting uneven baking, okay? That's what it looks like. So don't worry, it hasn't been overworked. You can't really overwork this dough. And so we're gonna just roll it up nice and tight. Okay, so bottom, what you have here, so you could do this, you could pinch it. I don't, that's just extra work. It's not gonna come undone. So here I'm gonna go ahead and plop it in. You wanna put seam down. So when it's too long like this, it's okay. Take this, squish it in. Take this, squish it in. Try to straighten it out a little bit. There you go, you have bread. I'm gonna cover it one more time. We're gonna let it rise, probably for another 30 minutes, and then it goes in the oven at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. This is what the bread is looking like. I could probably let it rise a little bit more just so it goes above, but it's rising really well, so I know when it bakes it's really gonna fill out and puff out. So if you are trying this at home, it's not unusual to see your bread completely spread out here already and rise a little higher. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven for now, and this will go in the oven for 30 minutes, and it'll be done in 30 minutes. Until I remove all this stuff from my oven. I'm so guilty of leaving this stuff. This is how I store my oven trays. I put them in the oven, and then I preheat the oven and I forget. So 375 is what you want to bake this at, and then I'll show you how I finish it with just a little butter on top. Perfect. There you go. So this is a really great example of the seam. So on this side, it's kind of okay. You really shouldn't see a line like this. I'm being picky because I did go to pastry school. This would be a failing loaf of bread, but we're actual real humans at home. So here I had a seam right here. There was also a seam underneath. So that's what happens. Okay, it's not awful. It's still edible, but there you go. Now, last thing we're gonna do to make this especially delicious is I just take a little bit of butter. Just open this up. You can use salted or unsalted, it doesn't really matter. Always use, if you're baking, you always use unsalted butter, but if you're topping it with something like this, you could change it to salted. So literally all I do is just run the butter over top and let the bread melt the butter. If you wanted to, you could pre-melt your butter. That's just extra work, extra dishes. I'm not interested in extra work and extra dishes, so I'm just doing this. Make sure I've got everything covered. Like I said, this is just a personal preference. You don't need to do this at all. It just makes it a little extra flavory flav. So I'm just gonna let it sit in here. It'll cool, it'll separate from the pan. It's already starting to separate from the pan. That's the great thing about nonstick. So that's it, that's all she wrote. Before you cut into this, you're gonna wanna wait about 20 minutes. It's insanely hot. So when you cut it open, it won't be as, just give yourself 20 minutes. You'll enjoy the bread that much more. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I do hope that you try and make yourself a little bread. Everyone deserves some cozy comfort food once in a while.